Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the presentation this morning on how to choose a market and time frame that is right for you. My name is Gail Mercer. I'm the founder of Traders Help Desk, and I will be your hostess for this morning. Now, before we get started, I would like everyone to take just a moment to read over the Nadex risk disclaimer. Basically, anytime you are trading, whether it's a binary option or any other market, there's always risk involved, okay? So make sure that you can accept that risk because you will have losses, okay? Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Ludmilla. Okay, now for those of you that do not know me, my name again is Gail Mercer, and I have been trading for over 15 years now. I started out with a company that programmed indicators from multiple platforms, and I was just overwhelmed that we could even see minute by minute market action. Of course, I fell in love with the price bar, and I now specialize in price action, volume analysis, and divergence because I believe they are leading indicators. Now, I'm also a frequent contributor for Stocks and Commodities Magazine, Traders World, and Top Shelf Magazine. I have also been a speaker at Traders Expo, Traders World Online Expo, and the Wyckoff Volume Conference. I'm also the author of Trading Nadex Binary Options and Spreads Using Candlestick Patterns, Trading Nadex Binary Options Using Currencies, Trading Nadex Binary Options, Keeping It Simple Strategies, and the New Trader's Guide to Trading Nadex Binary Options and Spreads. Now, today's discussion is going to be about the different types of traders, the time frames for different traders, which markets are best, is it futures or forex, and which sessions are the best. Now, before I get started, I do want to make sure everyone knows how to ask questions. I did get several emails last week from people that could not ask questions. In your GoToWebinar control box, there is a tab, usually it's a gray tab, and it says questions. If you open that up, it does give you an area to type in a question, okay? I do like questions. I really love the conversations that we have in this room. So please feel free to ask any questions. Now, let's get started in today's session. There are all types of traders. You've got scalpers, which kind of fit in that category. And then you have intraday traders, which I can do. You have longer term traders, which I do not do. And then you have both trend traders and counter trend traders. Now, really, the difference is how much time you are in the market and where your entry points are, okay?
So I want to know
now, to really get into what type of trader you are, you really need to give it some thought, okay? Are you a quick thinker or are you slower to analyze? Most new traders are slower to analyze, okay? That doesn't mean you couldn't, for example, pull up a 5-minute binary option and practice on it in your demo account, okay? It does, when you pull up a 5-minute binary, it really makes you value the time component of a binary option, but it also kind of trains you to analyze a little faster, okay? Also, what kind of ability do you have to focus for long periods of time? I have ADD. So the problem with ADD is I can hyper focus on something I'm interested in, but sometimes my brain just kind of jumps around on me. So I'll be going from a 1-minute chart to 3-minute to 5-minute to 15, and then I'm back on the 1 minute. My brain does that for me. Do you have the same issue? If you have a very short focus period, you might want to go to the faster time frames. But if it takes you a little bit longer to analyze that chart, you might want to go to the higher time frame. And again, this comes into distraction. Let me tell you, a market can distract me at the snap of your finger, okay? I have to learn to rein that in a little bit. I'll scroll through, 10 different currencies and be bouncing around. Sometimes I lose people because, you know, this is me, my attention span is very short. Are you a new trader? Okay. And as a new trader, I really had a lot of trouble because everybody was trying to teach me on a daily chart and a weekly chart. And I'll tell you right now, I was so bored on those time frames. I couldn't get in enough practice. And I mean, you do have to practice this stuff. I might make it look easy, but until you start doing it day in and day out, it's not going to be easy for you. I like to use the analogy of back when you were in middle school or high school and the teacher was trying to teach you algebra. She made it seem really easy because she'd been doing it for years. But when you tried to do it, it was like, oh, I forgot to ask her this. How do I do this? You'll have the same experience when you're coming into trading. Okay. So you really need to realize, okay, I'm a new trader. I'm learning. It's going to take me more time to practice. Okay. I'm an experienced trader. Okay. A lot of times when you look at things I'm doing, you say, oh, that looks so easy. Well, it looks so easy because I've been doing it for 15 years. Experience is a lot of that. It doesn't bother me to take a loss. The reason it doesn't bother me to take a loss is because I have a risk to reward that is skewed in my favor. My average risk to reward is 1 to 1.5 in 1.2. Okay, that means I don't have to be the world's greatest trader. I just have to take the trade. But if a loss upsets you, if it causes you mental anguish, you need to learn to work through that before you go live, okay? Because you can't take revenge on the market. You can't make the market move. The market will do what the market wants to do when the market wants to do it, okay? Now, here's time frames, If it works on one time frame, more than likely it will work on any other time frame. If you implement it and follow your rules. But you have to remember, when you're on a lower time frame, a 5-minute or a 15-minute, you're very close to the market, okay? It's almost like you're a microscopic view of that market. So you're going to see a lot more noise. Does everybody in the room know what I mean by noise? It's vibrations of the market. It's sort of like a bouncing ball. Okay? The shorter the distance is between where you're hitting that basketball in the floor, you're going to have a lot more bounces. But if you raise your hand up a little bit, say you raise it 3 feet, okay, from the ground, then you're not going to have as many bounces, okay? So just keep that in mind when you're looking at time frames for your trading plan, okay? Now, there are some standard time frames. 5-minute, 15, 30, 60, 120, 240, 360, a daily, a weekly. Some people like to use what's called tick charts, range bars. I do not like them because I'm time oriented, okay? I have to know exactly what time that bar is going to finish. If you're using range bars or you're using tick chart, well, it finishes whenever it finishes. That, to me, that uncertainty of knowing when that bar is going to end drives me crazy. This is also why I stick with standard time frames. When I'm doing a 5-minute binary option, I'm using a 1, a 3, and a 5. If I'm using a 20-minute binary option, 5, 10, 20. Okay? There's nothing magical about this. Okay? What is magical is the way that you approach it and your trading plan and discipline. Okay? Now, let's look at markets. I mean, you got forex and you got futures. Some people prefer forex. Some people prefer futures. Doesn't really matter. They all move. Okay. The difference is when they move, okay? Forex primarily will move 23 hours a day, okay? It opens at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and it closes at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time the next day, okay? You do need to pay attention to world news and reports, okay? They will affect the currencies, okay? For example, today we had the Bank of Canada rate announcement, okay? That was at 10 o'clock this morning. Huge news off of that. There was a huge move on the Canadian dollar on that one. If there's high volatility reports during London session, you need to know that. You need to follow that. If there's, let's say, the Australian unemployment report, that's going to affect the Aussie dollar and the Aussie yen. You have to be aware of that. You also have to know how it moves. Okay, Forex moves in pips. Okay, futures, on the other hand, it moves in points. Okay, so you need to know the difference between the two. Now, futures primarily, the biggest movement is going to come during the U.S. session. That's the session that's primarily used for intraday trading and scalping. You also have to be aware of the U.S. news and reports because, again, you know, trading the U.S. session to me is sometimes like walking through a minefield when we have a lot of reports, because it can be back to back to back to back reports all morning long, and you're trying to dodge those minefields, okay? So you have to be aware of that. Now, the U.S. market for futures opens at 9:30 a.m. and it actually closes at 5:15, but most people stop trading by 4 p.m., okay? Forex market on the U.S. session actually opens at 8 a.m., and most of your U.S. market reports that will affect Forex will come out at 8:30. Between 8:15 and 8:30, there are some exceptions, but most of them will come out between 8:15 and 8:30. That affects the Forex market the most, okay? There's no one particular market that's going to move, you know, extremely better than the other ones. I do like the London session because it works for me. I get up at, you know, this morning I got up at 1:30 in the morning, okay? So the London session works for me. The U.S. session, not so much. It kind of bores me because you're having to dodge these market reports. Again, this is personal. It is me. I have been getting up between, you know, 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning for 20 years. So this type of trading works for me. If you're a night person and let's say that you live on the California coast, okay, you might want to trade London. You might want to trade Asia. Slower market, but still it moves, okay? Now, during the U.S. session, if you're trading the currency pairs, you could trade just about any of the currency pairs because it's the U.S. session, okay? And you really kind of gain respect for the U.S. markets once you start trading the U.S. session. The London session, primarily what is going to move during London? Well, you've got the euro dollar and the British pound dollar. You have the British pound yen and the euro yen. Every once in a while, the USD-JP will move, but typically it's going to be the U.S. session and the Asian session when that one moves. Now, during Asia, you've got the Aussie dollar, you have the USD-JPY, you have the Euro-JPY, the British pound JPY, and of course the Aussie JPY, okay? They will all move during Asia. Their biggest session is typically during the U.S., but they will move during Asia, okay? Simply because Japan has a lot of market reports that come in during that time. Now, what is the secret to trading? Really, it's more about you, and this is the one thing that I see as an educator that a lot of traders fail to do. They don't analyze themselves. I mean, you know, most of the time, let's get real, we don't really like to analyze ourselves, okay? But for trading, you really do. You have to be able to say, okay, when am I at my best? If I'm not a morning person, I'm not going to trade the morning session, okay? I am a morning person, but my problem is I get up at 1:30 in the morning, okay? I go to bed really early. I get up really early, okay? So I allocated to trade the London session because of my personality, okay? Because of when I get up. The other thing is my personality. When I was trying to trade these longer term time frames, one of two things would happen. I would forget I had a trade altogether because I had already been distracted something else. So I would actually forget about something that I was in. Or I was just, oh no, this is never going to work in my direction. So therefore, I'm just going to go ahead and exit. And I would do that, you know, on a daily bar. I would already had 20 trades in that bar. Okay. That doesn't work for me. And again, that comes to my attention span, my ability to focus on that daily chart. I just couldn't do it. So I went to a scalping time frame. Worked great. Okay. I do process information very quickly. Some of my clients will tell you, I can pick up divergence at the snap of my finger. I mean, it just stands out at me, okay? But I practiced it for about 2 years, and I was faithfully drawing my lines. So by the time that I actually was able to trade it, I mean, I could pick up on it at a moment's notice. I wouldn't have to draw lines. It was just there. It was evident to me, okay? And also male versus female. There's a lot of difference between male and female traders, okay? Let's just take one, and I'll tell you something that we talk about in my family a lot, and that's, has anybody ever heard of a peacock strut? Okay, you put two men in a room with a beautiful woman, and automatically you see the men, immediately they start throwing their shoulders back and their chest comes out. We call it the peacock strut, okay? And it's very normal to do this. It's just something that men do without even realizing they're doing it, okay? Whereas a female doesn't typically do that, okay? And that is because of the difference between a man and a woman, okay? Additionally, you know, I use the lower risk binary options, okay? I don't feel that I need to confront. If I have a loss, I have a loss, move on, okay? With a male, that is not typical. What does a male want to do? Well, typically a male is going to want to go back in and get their money immediately back. Okay, this is a difference between men and females, and it's actually the chemical related to that. Okay, you know, I'm more prone to use a $20 binary. Most men will say, okay, I'll do a $50 binary. That's okay. You know, differences between a male and a female. That's all it is. Okay. Any questions this morning, guys? I know I've been talking very fast. Had too much coffee this morning, evidently. Any questions, though? One of the best things that you can really do, though, is kind of sit down and have a conversation with yourself. Don't be scared of having it. Just because somebody might trade a weekly and a daily chart, that doesn't mean it's the best one for you, okay? And you want to choose the one that you can live with, that's good for you, okay? How do I know my risk to reward? It's very easy, okay? If you're risking $20, but you're making $40 in profit, that's a 1 to 2, okay? You divide your profit by your risk, okay? Can you trade forex and futures with Nadex? Absolutely. I do it all the time. How do you set your profit? You just absolutely go in there and set your profit. Now, here's the key, okay? For the last 3 weeks, I have been doing 1-hour presentations. If you fund your account, okay, before next Wednesday, you will be invited to a very special 2-hour session where I'm going to take all of the knowledge from the last 3 weeks and we're going to learn how to apply it, okay? You will only be invited to this webinar if you have funded your account. Now, it only takes $250 to fund your account. You don't have to start trading. You can still stay in demo mode, okay? But you get to attend the presentation next Wednesday. It is applying your knowledge. It starts at 10 a.m., okay? And you have to be a Nadex member, which means you have a funded account to attend that. You will get the registration link. You'll also, they're also going to send an email with the prior 3 webinars so y'all can review it before the next webinar, okay? And just a reminder, that's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also refer to it as New York time. Let's see, I missed the 2 previous sessions. Do you have links to the previous 2 sessions? If you go to nadex.com and go to webinars, they're already posted there. Eric, I'm just starting. Do you have any info on using the 3 time frames together? That's what I'm going to be going over next Wednesday, Carol. Okay? How does one, in the shortest way possible, find out which trading style is best and what time frame is most appropriate? Again, this is a conversation you need to have. Play around with a couple. I mean, this is what demo is all about, okay? You know, maybe you don't want to trade the 5-minute, but maybe you want to trade the 20-minute or the 2-hour or the daily. You know, this is what demo is all about, and that's what we will be looking at next Wednesday as well. Can we set up auto stop loss? No, you cannot. And the reason, Frank, is this is one of the reasons I love binary options, okay? You need to look at your risk and say, hey, am I okay if I lose this $25? Am I okay if I lose this $75? If your answer is no, do not enter the trade, okay? And this is why, to me, binary options is just a more logical way of trading, okay? You know, you can set auto stops in futures or forex, but do you know how many times they blew through my stop and I didn't get stopped out? I don't have that issue with binaries. If I can't say, okay, I'll be okay if I lose this trade, I don't take the trade, okay? I'm glad you're funding today, T. For a $20 binary, how much time do I need in a 20-minute time frame to guarantee a profit? Okay, number one, there's never a guarantee, okay? And the reason that I say that, I'm going to be trading 20-minute binaries next week, okay? And let me tell you, on the 20-minute binaries, there's no guarantee up until expiration. I'm just going to say that to you right now. But I use a 5, a 10, and a 20, okay? And, you know, I'm going typically 2, 3, sometimes even 4 strikes out, okay? And then the closer it gets to expiration, then the less it has to move, okay? You can make money every 5 minutes if you're correct, right? Yeah, if you're correct every 5 minutes, there's a new binary. Where would I find the best commodity Nadex trend services? Any direction or suggestions? Eric, I'm not understanding your question. Could you ask it maybe in a different way? Next Wednesday's webinar is probably going to be about 2 hours. Okay.
Oh my God, 2
It's a
hours?
5-minute, 10-minute, and a 20-minute. That's what I use for the 20-minute binary. Let's see, Eric, are you talking about indicators that identify the trend? The best way is snap a trend line on there. That's the best way. Connect your lows, connect your highs. Let's talk about a real example. The US 500, 4:15 p.m. If the expiring strike is 2760, do all strikes less than 2760 pay out? Actually, Jack, it would be all if the indicative price is at 2760 or less, it pays out. It can be at 2760 and still pay out. Doesn't the higher time frame give a better projection of direction and momentum? It does until it doesn't. You know, when the market's turning, okay, think about this for a moment. When the market's turning, are you going to see it on the higher time frame or the lower time frame first? Now, I did a YouTube live presentation this morning, guys. And I mean, I just glanced over at a 15-minute and I said, ooh, there's divergence. And, you know, there it went. You know, but then again, I've seen it work on the 5-minute because all of a sudden there's divergence. Boom, it's going to turn the other time frame. What's my favorite time frame to trade? It will probably be the 20 minutes. I like the 5 minutes too during London. For the open in London, man, we had some good trades on London this morning. I'm telling you right now. You know, you get in there and that market's moving and 5 minutes are a beauty to trade. Okay. I like the 20 minutes too, though. And again, I just do a 5, 10, and 20. You know, could I do, and to me, this is simple. Okay. I have a 20-minute binary I'm trading. Okay. So if I go half of that, that's 10. If I go half of that, that's 5. So I got 5, 10, 20. Okay. Now the 5-minute created a little bit of an issue because I couldn't go to 2.5. Actually, I could in my trading platform, but most of the time you can't. So I went 5, 3, and 1. I just subtracted 2 from each. I have seen traders understand the direction of a market and understand where it might go, making 4 times their investment in 8 hours. Gaining that knowledge takes years. Directions or suggestions for services that I or we could benefit from that in the short term would assist in using that knowledge to my or our advantage quickly. Well, that's true to some extent, Eric. But if you're not doing it, if you're not practicing the divergence, okay, then you're just going to be at the mercy of whatever trader you're following, okay? And I have some really strong opinions about that because, you know, it's easier to look over here and say, hey, what should I do? Versus, okay, I need to make this decision. How do I make this decision? And it's the how that you want to get to. I noticed Nadex offers binary spreads and binary options. Is there a time when it's best to use one over the other in order to improve or enhance a trade? Sure there is. You use a spread when you're expecting market movement. I wouldn't use a spread during a slow market. I would use a binary option. Okay? So why doesn't everyone buy out the low numbers early in the morning if they feel the end of the day, the US 500, 415 will be 2760? I'm sure there are some people that do that. Okay? But, you know, why would you buy out all the early well, buy out the low numbers? No, you would lose. I think, Jack, if I'm reading your question right, are you saying buy the numbers below 2760? And that doesn't make any sense for a binary option, because let's say that the ATM strike, let's just say the ATM strike is at 2,800, okay? And if you go down to, let's say, 2,700, your buy-in premium might be $99. Would you want to take that? Because you're going to lose. This is all about numbers. It's all about prices. Okay? And you can't just give a generalization. Okay? I mean, you wouldn't want to buy one for $99 because then you're going to lose $1 on the exchange fee.
Jesus.
Okay, so you really have to look at the premiums. And the one thing that I do is I look at the premium and I say, oh, is it worth it? Okay. And, you know, even next week, you know, I'll show you. When I'm testing, and believe me, I do a lot of testing because, you know, I do a lot of different techniques. Okay. I start out in demo mode. And if it proves it can hold water in demo, then I bring up demo and live and say, okay, during the time period I'm going to be trading, are these premiums about the same? You know, some days they are, some days they ain't. Okay, so will I be able to say, no, I can't take this trade because I don't like the premium? I can, okay, because I know there's a trade right around the corner there. You know, at the YouTube live today, you know, I was looking at the USD JPY and then I looked at the euro dollar. I didn't like the way either one of those was moving. I jumped over to the British pound yen. It was moving. There's always something moving. You just got to find it. Most of the time anyway. But like tomorrow morning, the euro's probably going to be not so great. Why? They got a rate announcement tomorrow morning. Are the YouTube live sessions recorded? Yes, they are. And they automatically post them to YouTube. If you're a subscriber, when I go live, you'll know about it because it'll pop up. And I'll also be doing some YouTube premieres. I got approved to do YouTube premieres. So, and it's all on binary options, I guarantee you. Because I love binary options. Okay? You cannot get a more logical approach to trading than a binary option. You just can't. It's a really simple format. It's Gail, Gail. Sam. All right, if there's no other questions, I do really encourage you to fund your account so you can be at the webinar next week. And remember, that's Wednesday, Halloween. I'll dress up like a goblin. Okay, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. If I find a 70 strike price, 27.56, which is lower than 27.60, does it, when it closes, it depends on what the indicative price index is. Okay. If the indicative price index expires 27.56 or less, okay, yes, then it would make money. If it expires at 27.56.1, then you do not make money. I funded last week, but haven't heard anything from Nadex about it. Will it come out later in the week? Yes, it will, Carol. If it expires at 27.60, then it would be, I believe, $30 as long as you were short. I wouldn't be long. If you were long, you would have lost. All right. I hope everybody does join me next Wednesday. What or who do we ask for the 2-hour web link if we fund but do not get the link? Frank, if you do not get the link, then you email me at gm@tradershelpdesk.com and I will find out why you did not get the link. And you can also email customer service at nadex.com as well. Okay? You can also call Nadex. They're very responsive. What is the name of the next webinar? It's Applying Your Knowledge.